right. So when we get born at the start of life, there's always a question that babies ask their mothers. And the answer to that is FNTASIA episode 11. Give me the number. 26. That's 26. Right. That's what I'm talking about. We're in the business with it.
Yes.
And we back by week for both the podcast and FN competitive. I respect it. 11, your day did not start out respectful. Unfortunately, talk to me about what happened today with your food.
Yeah, I feel like, we got to be honest with the viewers, right? Because at the end of the day, we are just people. I'm having a horrible day. You know when you're just hungry, you just want to eat. And there's all these complications that are just stopping you from eating. And I've just had so many blocks in the road to just trying to get food. And then the food I ended up with, I was eating cereal, bro. It's just a stinky day, man.
Yeah, stinky start.
Day.
Stinky start, yeah. But what are podcasts if not the toilet paper to our stinky world, right? We're gonna clean up the stink. We're gonna hygienic. And we're gonna dive in straight to FNTASIA week number 1. Hold up, I didn't even test if this transition is working yet. Hopefully it does. Bada bing, bada boom. Wait, which button is this? When I step up in the room, dale. Oh God. Okay, hold up. You see, this is why. This is why.
What you wanted?
We take time.
Oh dear.
Yeah,
YouTube listeners are enjoying. If
hey,
you're listening on Spotify
this is live.
Platform, you are not witnessing the technical issues we're having right now. But don't worry. Don't worry about that. Also, you might be wondering what's going on. Balla TW, we just listened to Balla. What are you guys doing here? Well, Balla TW now has to take care of baby TW, who was introduced to the world, aspiring Fortnite professional pro player in the making. And so he's away for a bit. But send your congratulations to Balla. You know where to find them. Send your congratulations. And comment down in the section below. We miss you, Balla.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very good. Yeah. I can't believe I missed that. I think the baby intro was a homage to Balla, but it's like,
yeah, you were there, but you weren't fully there.
And that's we got each other. We got each other. That's what it's about. I realized too that half my bookmark tabs are showing. So let me see if I can get that out of the way. Boom. And now we're good. Let's go. Okay. So FNTASIA week 1. EU happened, and honestly, for I think a lot of people, it was not the most surprise as to what the top upper echelon of what everything looked like kind of transpired with, but who won was surprising. Like Benji coming out on top I expected him somewhere in the top 10, but to get first place in the manner that trio did was kind of nuts.
Yeah, I think if anything, when it comes to surprises, you would have looked more so at the people who didn't make it to round 4. I feel like there were a lot of the big name teams who maybe you'd expect to, for example, just straight out there, Thomas and Aston Flick, right? They should have been a team that quals in the first week, right? I think if you look at the other 2 teams that qualled with Benji's trio, those are the 2 teams who you probably would have said, yeah, you guys are qualling this week. Maybe obviously you'd argue the team in 4th place were hard done by as well, but to see some of the teams who didn't actually make it in was a bit rough. But no, when it comes to the actual round 4, the finals itself, yeah, I didn't expect Benji to qual. And maybe this is an unpopular opinion. I don't think it's a good thing that they did. And that might sound weird because I think they're a team who maybe if they didn't qual in this manner, they might have even missed the finals itself because of, things in heats and rebit round and all that complication. But I just don't think they're going to be ready for finals. I don't think that I think being able to play the other weeks and reboot round for this team in particular would have been good because I think they still have a lot of sort of core fundamentals around their game that need to improve. Obviously other competitions around FNTASIA might be an opportunity to do that, Shayo, but I just think as much as this is a great achievement, when watching them, right, we're fortunate we're on the actual broadcast, we're watching them game to game. When watching them, as much as they did well, it wasn't too impressive. You weren't watching them thinking this is, creme de la creme of Fortnite. A lot of it was very scrappy. A lot of it was, game to game. There wasn't a consistency on themes or patterns in their gameplay. There were times when they looked like they were in good positions, but they didn't actually use or make the most of them. There were times when they were in bad positions and, relied on a lot of individual brilliance to get out. They're not the finished article. And you can't afford to go into the finals not to finish article if you're competing to win, which I'm sure they'll want to do.
No, I think so. That's a very good point, because specifically for any tier that Benji's on, like semifinals / week 3, I feels like where they learn the most out of all their mistakes. Like it finally feels like there's a click halfway through the games, the back half, where we really see those patterns divulge. Like the way they were playing mid ground last season with Massive Amplify was just, it finally felt like they had something inside their pocket that no other team could do, which is actually play synergistically and have a type of, rocket detaching itself while it goes through different levels of the atmosphere type beat, like Reverse Miro and Days trio did towards the end game with Benchy Mass Amplify. But like the big thing as well is that when you're rolling in on this season, you don't have that. You go into finals and you're trying to judge things off of this performance. It's still a very good overall the performance they showed through, but it's in a week, as you mentioned, where some of these top teams aren't actually playing, right? Like some of the people who will be bullying them around the map, some of the people that are going to control them from the east side that they kind of abused landing on, because obviously Flickados Thomas aren't there. Like that's huge.
Well, and I think the big thing is, like, look, they were consistent in being able to get to end game. When you're getting top 10 every game except for one, like that's a good thing. It's weird though, because even when you just look at this trio as a whole, even outside of just this performance, I remember last season I made a video where I analyzed Matzo, Benji, and Amplify, and the big thing was, Benji was the tarper of that trio towards the end of things, and it was like, the reality was, you can go back and watch that video, he's just not a good tarper. As much as Benji's a brilliant player, he's just not a good tarper. And he actually watched that video, he saw it, and he messaged me about it, and he was just like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, like, my tarper's been pretty stinky. Like, I wasn't really supposed to do that job on that team. Like, it was something that I just had to end up doing, which I didn't want to do and I shouldn't have been doing. And so when he said that to me, I'm thinking, well, good, at least your next year, this isn't what you should be doing. You should be going back to doing what you're best at, like being the fragger, not being a person to make a bunch of decisions. And even though this trio is, I think, a better trio than what Benji, Matzo, and Amplify were, he's gone and done it again. He's in a trio where he's, responsible for making a lot of decisions. He's tarping here and there. Like, it doesn't seem like there's been that progression of, okay, last season this didn't work, so I'm gonna try and change things up. He has improved as a tarper and whatnot from last season, but yeah, I don't. I'm not investing in the Benji stocks. And people are going, oh my god, you're such a bitter Benji, you just hate Benji. And no, I want to see Benji do well. And I want to see Jones Shadow do well, because I really liked that trio last season with Stompy. They were one of my favorite trios to watch. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not too high on this trio right now, Shia.
I mean, we're going to have a lot of time to think about them, because obviously the next time we're going to see them is going to be like, basically September, right? Like, these guys aren't going to be touching the game for quite a while. We got 2 weeks of qual still left, semis, and then, who knows, maybe bye week part 2, depending on what happens with Fortnite. But it's going to be a little bit of a while. The patterns continue. I feel like it might be better for them this season to be in the situation with Benji still tarping. I feel like there's a lot of other teams who are beefing on certain layers. There's not enough room now with more, so-and-so god trios coming out and trying to topple each other on high ground and trying to control the low. I feel like they might have a spot in mid, or just to go by and not be seen and get consistent placings like they do now, even in grand finals. Because on the other side of the board, this might have been one of the most fun weeks to watch in Europe, I think, ever for qualifiers. When going to streams after the fact and looking at the community's reaction to this qual, it felt like a grand finals almost, with the level of play we were seeing and the trios involved. Bro, watching Tayson, Reason, Vino, watching what's it called, Hengenis Chapix, all fight for height with Aqua in the mix as well after such a long time. I mean, that was just absolutely amazing.
Well, yeah, you mentioned, God trios sort of arriving on the scene, and I think that's one that was really fun to watch. Aqua, Noah Riley, Vidil. What a team. What a team. And I think it makes sense, right? If you look at what Aqua has always historically been, and then look at what Noah Riley and Vidil are, this makes sense that this trio would be as good as they are. But it just wasn't something that I thought about, right? Yeah. Wow, they were really fun to watch. They genuinely were really fun to watch. You know, they won 2 games. They played the typical Aqua style. You know, we talked about it during the show where it was like, you know, at the end of his career, he needs to come together with Zay and write a book about height. Like, just the philosophy, because every season, no matter the meta, no matter what is going on or what's happening, Aqua will play for height and he will just do it better than everybody else. And you look at the tools he has available to him in terms of like Noah Riley and Vidal, you have 2 of the best players. You know, if you're talking just like raw skill and talent, you have 2 of the best players in all of Fortnite. Yeah, it's a scary sort of thought. And it's funny because Aqua's actually done well in the past couple seasons. He's just been screwed by like unfortunate sort of circumstances, whether that be him taking a break, him being injured, one of his teammates having a problem. Like he's just been screwed, and the signs were always there, but now he's in like the best case scenario for him. Like this is the best possible team you could probably have, in terms of like, you know, German speaking, all this kind of thing. And he's taking great advantage of it. These guys are going to be a threat in finals. I think the funny thing about them is that they won't be worried about anybody else who wants to play high.
Yeah,
they just won't.
See, they're not going to be worried, but then this is also one of the reasons I feel like people like Benji, you know, if Mitro makes it off spawn, and we'll get to him also in a second, or any of these other, you know, B Genius guys who roll in, or B Genius, depending on where you're coming from and how you pronounce their org name. All these people who were like unplaced inside having set roles and controlling them in EU, whether it be height, low ground, mid ground, they get to prosper a little bit and have a little bit of breathing room this season, because it felt like, especially watching this qual week, Aqua had everyone tied up on height. Like Tayson was never letting go. No one was kind of leaking through like we see week after week, and then affecting Benji's game in the 8th zone or 9th zone. Like all these guys get forced down by Hengenis Chapix last season. And if they made an end game, and if not them, it was Jerky who was just popping off with Queasy all the way on high ground as well, you know, pushing other people down more. There was a definite hierarchy in EU, right? That was respected game after game, depending on who has height first or who is where. There's a little bit of a challenge, but then by the 7th zone, everyone's getting pushed down a little bit, right? And I feel like that's where Benji used to suffer. That's where sometimes Savage was actually really good, because he liked that trickle down. But all this action's like staying on height. It's fighting to like the 8th zone of control of the lair. There's chops happening, you know, while 7th is moving from Aqua, killing like 3 different trios. Like it's
that was insane. You took out all of Benji's trio and
yeah.
just like one
but the thing is, you would never see that happen like in a previous FNCS. I think the introduction of this one trio and this power vacuum on height now with some of, you know, the people who love having half and half, contesting it, really bullying people, auto-qualled to grand finals. Like, and you know, a lot of people like now trying to grab all the way to the top with, you know, newfound trios. This power vacuum on height is like just sucking everyone up there and letting Benji get consistent top 10s game after game. At the same time, it's really fun to watch, and those same trios who are stuck up there are placing and all getting like top 4, right? But it's a definite like new I don't know, place to watch in EU, where before it was kind of like you saw height style out and everyone else battle for survival. Now it's like, who's actually going to win height? There's no definitive every single game, and everyone else gets to breathe a little bit. Would you agree?
Somewhat. I think it varied a lot game to game. I think there were some games where, you know, there were some games where you got what you're talking about on height, and you got, you know, a lot of, you know, because at the end of the day, a lot of these teams will just play for height where possible. Obviously, some of them maybe are better without it. Some of them, you know, better off with it. But I think there were some games where it didn't. Some games where height felt really weird. Some games where height felt like, I don't know how to describe it, but they're just lobbies sometimes where you watch, yeah, and it's like nobody's really playing for height well.
Yeah.
And you think to yourself, like, what's going on? And there were some games where it was like that, but then you go and you watch the POVs of some of the other people, and it was like, you look at their sort of circumstance, you think, okay, yeah, it makes sense why you weren't really playing for height, or it makes sense why things didn't go too well for you in that sense. But yeah, I think it varied. I think for me, the you know, beyond just sort of height, what was really interesting to see was, you mentioned them, right? But the resurgence of Mitro and his involvement in this lobby, because, you know, I hate to do this and tie in Mongrel's name. You know, it feels like you can't mention one without the other nowadays. But understandably, it's like having a basketball conversation. You mentioned Shaq. Eventually, you're gonna bring up Kobe's name, right?
Yeah.
I feel like since they split and they announced they were gonna split, and even actually, no, I think since they came back and they were playing with each other, the narrative in the community has always just been like, no, Mongo's actually not that bad. You know, Mongo could actually really do good in a good team that works well. And like Mitro was just left out to dry. Like it really felt to me as if, you know, people had really given up on Mitro. Obviously, you know, Mitro fans will say, no, we always knew Mitro was the GOAT. But the general consensus I got from people was that people really sort of gave up on Mitro, and Mitro was the problem. Not gonna lie, when I watched, I felt like Mitro was the problem. Like I did feel like, yo, I don't know what's happened to Mitro, but this guy's not gonna be able to work on a top team anymore. And don't get me wrong, I think since they split, Mongrel's probably done better in general. But obviously, in this specific week, Mongrel didn't make it to finals. Even though they looked like they probably could, they didn't make it to finals. And Mitro's team did with, you know, Exit and CRR. And they really impressed me. They really impressed me. There were times when I watched and I thought to myself, you know, this reminded me a lot of the old sort of Mitro and CRR dynamic that we would see in previous seasons. And so it's good to see them back together, and to see X8 doing well on a team is really impressive. I don't know if this team, you know, I don't think they're shooing to make finals. I think we'll see how they do in heats, because I do think they'll get to heats, but really impressed me this week. And I think it's a good foundation to build off of. It's a good foundation to build off. I think knowing that they can, you know, I don't even think that's a really big thing, because CR has been good the past couple seasons in terms of like, he's actually been able to make it to finals here and there. He's had teams that are competitive, but once again, because of whatever reason, he's been screwed. Like obviously last season was playing with Aqua. X8 was on a really good trio last season with Kylix and Kaiden, and they were a very good trio. So like in theory, like this is the makings of a team that is good enough to be like in the finals of an FNCS. It'll just be about whether they actually, you know, make it or not.
Yeah, their foundation got a little bit rocky with Slurpee changes, and just the fact that they have to fight there week after week. But you mentioned, like, you know, Sarah R always being like up there still. Getting to watch him play again, clutch for the team when he's last alive, like multiple times, that was like a very, very good breath of fresh air. I feel like, just for off spawn fights, the way things are going in Slurp. Because in the past, like when you're watching, like, you know, Red Rush versus Kiriachi, it seemed very scrappy. It seemed like very fast back and forth. Didn't have the most organization. But as soon as you get like X8 kind of, you know, puppeteering that, you know, Mitro on one side, CR on the other, sometimes sacrificing himself for place to happen. It's a very dope off spawn fight to watch in general. Very good trio to, I think, watch in the early game. My issue with these guys is just what happens after the fact, because we could talk about, like, you know, this crazy early game prowess all the time. I feel like they fall short when it actually comes to, like, you know, going all the way towards the end, trying to change anything, or not change anything, trying to convert, that's a proper C word, convert any of the success they ever have off spawn to actual end game points. Like, if you noticed, all their games, half their elims, or sometimes all their elims, come from that one fight that they've almost mastered to a point where it's like a, you know, 60-70% win rate. After the fact, though, it's absolute, you know, shambles. If sometimes they don't fight off of spawn, they have storm surge problems that aren't solved. I think it happened like almost 2 games in a row. They got very lucky with one where they got to actually, you know, dive another squad that had surge as well. But at the same time, it's like it has to be more than off spawn. And I feel like if in qual 1 this is a problem, it's too late for them this FNCS, even if they do make it through heats.
Yeah, that would be a concern. I think the main thing I'd say about that is that maybe I'm wrong on this, but I do have a lot of belief in them off spawn moving forward. I think
I do too. Like off spawn, I feel like they have it locked down. That's what I'm saying. Is just, you know, at this point in the competition, if you're talking about doing well in grand finals, you have to have some sort of strategy past that point. Like, especially when you're given multiple chances in this week specifically to win your off spawn battle and show what you can do. They just didn't convert, man. That's just where I'm at.
Okay. I think this is where we differ.
Okay.
I don't think, and this always sounds weird to say, but I think from my perspective of like what I do, I can say this. I don't think the expectation for this team should be winning a finals.
Okay.
And I think you can get away with not being as cerebral if you're not winning finals. I think you're right. You know, to win finals, you do have to be a much more cerebral than they are at the moment. But my expectation of this team, I don't think. Yeah, you're right. They lack that. That is the one thing they do lack, critically. So no, I'm not too optimistic about their chances of competing in the finals. But I think just getting there would be good enough for them.
Yeah.
Maybe they would disagree, but I think just getting there would be a good thing for them.
A good start, good stepping stone. True.
Especially if they stick together.
Yeah, which I hope happens. But, you know, if you're an old player season after season, there's like chances of retirement like quintuple. And then if you're on Micho's team, God knows what's happening. You know what I mean? But it looks good. It looks good this season. Past that, towards the top side of things, you know, Vino, Taste, and Reason, mentioned them a little bit, but this was, I think, one of the most heartbreaking fourth places, because the way Tayson played, the way this squad is rolling in as well, like, it was phenomenal. Also, probably one of my favorite plays in terms of like an end game clutch as well. Well, it wasn't on the level of like a super reboot round, but it also kind of like strengthens my theory of like these guys are always looking up rather than looking down now to like structure their game and push for their clutches, like fighting trios above them or players above them before actually breaking things down all the way on low is a definite possibility. Tayson excels at that. We saw it in a godlike the display. I think it was game 5, and man, getting a second, first, and then not qualifying for grands because everything else is just so polarizing with these 20 seconds in between. I mean, that's gotta suck. 2 double elims too, bro. It was so close.
Yeah, Tayson for me was definitely, you know, the best player on the day. His clutch obviously did help, and maybe that's why I'm obviously, you know, not everything's as fresh in my mind as it was, because it has been, you know, some time now. But this team is like, this team in theory is so silly, like incredibly silly, because you know, you look at them in finals, you have Tayson, who's, you know, arguably the best player in the world, one of the best players, you know, the GOATs of right now, as LevenWager will say. You have Reason, who in the finals of FNTASIA, Reason is like, you know, with the fate of the universe on the line, I want Reason in the finals of an FNTASIA, you know, like that type of beat. Like, Reason like will pull up some mad clutch, like he will do something crazy. Reason's nuts in finals, and then Vino is like, you know, Vino is he has all the potential to be like those two in that sense, and he is insane. The one thing I'll say is I hate to be that guy, because they did play phenomenally, and it was sad, because I think they were definitely, I think if you look at the way they played, they were probably they were a top 3 team on the day, right? Which is like, oh, they didn't get top 3 levels. How's that possible? I think in terms of how they played, they were, you know, arguably the 3rd or 2nd best team in the lobby that week, but it just didn't work out for them. I think Vino though had some struggles. There were plenty of games where he'd be like the first to die, or he'd just get knocked, or there'd be some sort of mistake there. And I remember saying to Reese in like the green room, like, you can't afford for this to happen, because if anything goes wrong in this trio, like, he's the guy on the chopping block. Like, he's the guy that like gets the blame, whether that be from his teammates or just like the fan perspective, right? Like, people will look at it like, oh my God, you know, oh, Vino, man, Vino's throwing your bread, you know, like, and I'd hate for Vino to become Bizzle. I don't think he will be, but like, I'd hate for like that kind of thing to happen where people would start sort of shitting on him, because he is really good, but he didn't have the best of weeks at all. He didn't have the best of weeks. But moving forward though, for that trio, it's rough, because, you know, they had Uncon Sweaty.
Oh yeah, that was the everything's coming back to me. That was like, everyone had like risks involved, blah blah blah, and like this was the one team that actually did need to qual, because now no one knows what happens next week. And what, there's like 4 different trios looking for Sweaty. There's Nate's, this one, what's the other, Freemox, and then another team, God knows who.
I've forgotten them now. Yeah. I remember I was the one listening. I was the one listening them off to you the other day, but now I've forgotten them. Like, I've forgotten. But it'll come back to me. But no, and you know, it's weird saying that because when you actually do look at all the teams who land Sway, they are the one where like they're best off contested. Of all of them, they are like the one you don't want to contest like the most because they are like the way they do it is really good. And in theory, you could argue that like they're actually maybe fine regardless because they, you know, it makes it almost easier for them being able to get their surge from fighting off spawn at Sweaty.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you look at how their games went. Like they had 3 really good games and still didn't qual. So maybe, you know, you don't want to risk, you know, the chance of being contested and messing that up. I think regardless, they're gonna make it to heats, right? They should auto qual though in the next 2 weeks though.
Really?
And probably next week. I think they should, because I think they will. I just think and this is just me being a taste and stand once again, but like I just think they are just way too good not to. I think regardless of whether they're contested, which it probably will be because we know so many good teams when they go Sweaty, I think they'll just qualify. And if not, we saw what happened last season with Taysom when they looked bad in weeks and heats just went on to finals and got 4th. Like,
yeah.
Or no, got 3rd, but then disbanded. So yeah, it's just tasting things.
Little tasting things. Also, honestly, just Falcon things, and we'll get to that as well in a sec. But when it comes to looking at some of the other teams that are rolling in, any surprises as to people who might have dropped the ball completely? For me, one team that I've lost kind of faith in general is Kenza. I dropped Wakey a little bit because I feel like they've had so many different simulation runs now of every possibility, but like nothing in adjustment is working. And I used to have them like slightly higher in the mid tier of like, you know, a team that can get 10th and a team that could or maybe would pop off or have a chance to be in top 5. But now I have them in like the same pack as maybe some of these other teams that end up contesting other players like High Chris, like Stena. You know, that's kind of where they get bumped down for me after this qual week. I'm just going to look at their stuff real quick when it comes to what's going down. There's some merit and value in a few games where they might get out of spawn, you know, unscathed, but in times where they're contested, I get, you know, Holly Hatchery's issue. And sometimes even north of that, if the drop's being adjusted, there's issues there too. This team should be like one of those god squads, no?
I don't know if it should be a god squad. Definitely think it should be better than they are. I usually enjoy watching teams that are like coached by BloodX or influenced by BloodX a lot, but I sort of lost interest in this team.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think it's worked out the way it should have. I think by now they should have been on the cusp, as Balla TW would say, of being one of those great teams. And I think they had a couple great results where they showed a level that they can be that. It just hasn't panned out that way for them. Even when you look specifically at the individuals, you know, I just thought iDrop's year would go a lot differently. And it hasn't sort of panned out the way I would have hoped to. And it hasn't been bad, right? At the end of the day, it hasn't been bad. They are still a top team in EU. It's just very much whelming. Not underwhelming, not overwhelming, just very whelm, you know? I'm very whelmed when I watch this team. And so, look, are they a team that can make it to finals? Yes. Are they a team that should make it to finals? Yes. Are they a team that is going to make waves? They haven't shown anything to me yet that suggests that. Yeah. So,
the ones that were kind of making some sort of waves and honestly just making me hit my shift / button on my keyboard over and over again, you know, question mark, is 6th and 7th place, because I have no idea who the fuck these guys are when they were rolling in. Getting like hot stats about Lolito over and over again on broadcast, and I'm like, okay, I get it. The dude's hot. First FNCS, whatever. And then Sir Nexo, the name sounds familiar. Maybe we saw something from KK Wet like 2 FNCSs ago, or the last FNCS for 1 qual week. But is this kind of like the result of like, you know, the main characters fighting on the battlefield, and these guys just like, you know, looting all the stuff back home because there's no heroes to defend the town? Is that kind of like the why these guys roll in? Because I know the win from Sir Nexo is like, what was this, like a little bit of a heal game there was like two of these guys were fighting each other or something, and the fight left one person alive. Cernexo got to use heals, right? I feel like this power vacuum effect of these guys just going head to head on the same layers, like the top 4, the top 5, week after week, will give us more teams like these two taking up higher spots and honestly replacing people who should be higher, in my opinion, like Rifle maybe, like Wolfies even. But we'll keep seeing this effect over and over again.
Well, what I'd say to you on that is that a surprise? I feel like if you look back at every FNCS qualifying week this year, you'll see those kind of teams.
Yeah.
I think that's just how it is in the qualifier weeks. You'll get teams like that. So I don't look at it. I don't read too much into it, especially because I just didn't notice anything particularly sublime.
Yeah.
And so for that reason, I'm not surprised. I think it's always like that. I think you always get a couple teams who aren't that, aren't teams you'd expect to be anywhere near a top 10 of an FNCS qualifier week, but just will be because that's just how the qualifier weeks always pan out.
And then the last thing, at least on the top that we haven't talked about, is Hengen as Chapix. Obviously, just looking form. They kind of look like they're also just going to be winning possibly another FNCS.
No, they've won FNCS.
They've won FNCS. What about the taste and hype train, bro? The taste and stand.
No. Hengen and Jamaica are still the best team in the world. They're still gonna win FNCS. Like they've won FNCS.
Okay.
Uncontested Craigie Chris, like they've won FNCS. It's not even close. They've won FNCS.
You don't even think if Aqua gets to get off spawn Surge, not a problem, and he's doing his little, he's rubbing his hands in 5th zone, getting his hype plans out, that it doesn't affect this team. Because they had, I know it's not a grand final, there's other outliers, but they had Uncon Craggy this FNCS week. The only issue is they had to go toe to toe with 3 different teams fighting for height over and over.
Hello? No, I'm not busy right now. I'm just recording a podcast about Hengen and Chapix winning FNCS. Again. Yeah. No. Yeah, just standard stuff. That's just how they, we all know Hengen and Chapix. I'll call you back. All right, cool.
All right.
Sorry,
yeah, no, I think there's not much left to be said after that. I understand.
I don't. It's weird though, because I could watch them. I think I could watch these guys stink up a week and just still be convinced they're gonna win an FNCS. Like I feel like I could watch them. I could have watched them come 11th and still have just been like, yeah, I just think they're gonna win FNCS. They just will, at some point in the day, that first game in particular, but like at some point in the day, they will just show you something that reminds you of who they are. And that first game was exactly that. Like that first game was just so cliche of them.
Yeah.
And it ended it was the 1v1 against Tayson's team, right? Because Tayson's team came second that game. Yeah, like it was the 2 teams who were probably the top 2 teams coming into the lobby fighting off against each other in that first game. And guess who went and won it? The best team in the world. And they've qualified to finals. They're gonna have Craggy on con realistically. If they don't, I don't know how foolish whoever it is chooses to contest them is, but we all know how that goes. They will find a way to get top 10. You will just get last. Don't contest them. And they're just gonna be fine. Like that's just how it is.
I think one other thing to mention is like how close this actually was. Like it was a battle of 2 points per team. Like literally 2 elims. All of these guys are honestly first place Andes at the end of qual 1. And we'll yet to wait for grand finals to see exactly how stuff works and breaks down for them. Otherwise, like once again, it just feels like there were so many new names or like names that were yet to be tested in ways where like they didn't show anything to attach newly to their personality. And the likes of Rifle Save Astro, cool combinations of like a sub here and there in the roster, but it seemed kind of the same. Quickly on other stuff like Agram seemed exactly the same in his abrasive thorny personality off spawn into like middling performances and endgame. Maybe there's 1 or 2 games where he comes in and it's like a big bop, but like it's not enough, it's not consistent enough. There's not enough elims if they're not contesting off spawn to have anything happen. But that was kind of the same story as last season. one interesting kind of trio that ruled in. Who was Itachi Uchiha, by the way, again? Do you remember?
Oh, it's Podesai.
Is it one loss?
It's Podesai, one loss, and
Nikov.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is kind of like the fallout of like, I think it was someone retiring though, right? Alpha
Blaster.
or Blaster? Yeah, Blaster retiring. Yeah. So new squad. Obviously things didn't work out for them too much. I think these guys were the target of a lot of what's it called? His lobby focus as well on rotates, and it was pretty sad to watch. Everyone just kind of seemed like same old, same old. I just wish we had, you know, some of those teams that didn't qual roll in, get an update on like, you know, some of the big personality type gameplay rolling in from Nate, getting a little bit more action as Sweaty. But are there any other teams you feel like there needs to be a comment on? Because it kind of just seems like the same old in EU across the board, other than like the top 5, the top 7.
Outside of what we saw, once again, like my memory is older me. I think it was surprising. The one big surprise that we should have mentioned earlier when we were talking about Mitra CR squad, watching them dominate Kiriachi or Spawn, and obviously you mentioned how good of they are Spawn again, but just more so on the Kiriachi side of things, like watching them get dominated or Spawn was not something we've seen in a while.
Yeah,
it's been a while since we've seen something. Just keep that in the back of your mind moving into the next couple of weeks to see how those guys do. But no, I think it was a good week. At the end of the day, like if we talk about it as a moving forward now, I do want to see how a lot of those teams who missed this week do and how they interact with that lobby. But
yeah,
I enjoyed it, man. It was good.
Waiting for the missing numbers, and as that goes down, there's obviously NA East to talk about on the other side of the pond, and we'll treat it like a pond and just dip our merry toes inside, get some initial reactions, because this for me is even more blurry than EU in terms of exactly what really threw down. Biggest surprise is seeing Nutchuki Iamzo all the way in the top, and the way they did it as well, so consistent throughout the day, picking up a VR2, and at the very end of the day, like, you know, wasn't a what's it called, a winning moment that came in through game 6, but they pushed past in game 6 to secure their spot number 1. It wasn't like, you know, a random team popping off with like a 20-point lead and holding on to it. These guys had to fight, and we don't usually see that from underdog teams.
Yeah, sorry, I had to yawn there. Just the thought of NA just tires me. Nah. You know what? Yeah. I think I caught the back end of this one. It was like 1 a.m. for me, but I think I caught the back end of this one, and yeah, it was a good sort of end to the tournament. I think obviously it was a bit of a surprise for a lot of people to see them win. It's a weird surprise. I think they are sort of a good trio. I think people know they're like a good trio. Once again, it's almost like the Benji thing where you just didn't expect them to win, and it's funny because, like you said, they were very consistent, very similar to Benji's trio, where, you know, like top 10 every game except for one, right? These guys clearly have a great formula, and more so than Benji's team, they look more organized. There are patterns to the way they play, and there is something there that you can maybe see. You can maybe see them building off of some sort of foundation. There's like a foundation there to build off of, whereas I just don't really think there is with Benji's trio. I'd say, you know, even beyond them though, right? I think the general top 3 wasn't a surprise to me. Like outside, like the second and third in particular, right?
Yeah,
wasn't too much of a surprise to me. I think those are 2 teams who you'd expect to see in finals at some stage anyway. But
yeah,
I don't know.
For me, it's like it's a slight surprise to see like Dejan, Agers, and Skittles actually make it through in the top 3, because usually these guys end up like 4th qual 1 and like sneak in qual 2 or 3, or like don't have a chance to really get that full break. But they actually did stroll in just because, you know, Iamzo's there. And then like once again, for that top trio, you're talking about patterns and stuff. Iamzo's like the most consistent crazy man around, because like you assume the stuff he's doing is like a one-off every single game. You assume the entire games that he's having are like one-off, off angle type aggressive plays that he's doing, but that's like his consistency. Or that's like his consistent style over and over again, and it really shone through here. Before it was like only I've really seen it in a third-party tournament beforehand, but the dude is definitely mega cracked. Past that, in terms of Bucky, Creo, Clicks, you know, if you look at their results overall as well in the tournament, it's just one bad game away from qualifying, one middling performance away, and I feel like that's how it is for NA a lot of the time. It's this one decision that changes things completely and takes the team out, usually sometime earlier in the tournament. For EU, I feel like it happens a lot later, but these early games for NA, I feel like need to be looked at a lot more by the players and by whatever coaches are rolling in as well. There's always this game 2 or game 3 deficit. NA East teams, especially teams like Creo, like if you look at everyone, they have everything reined in by the end of the day. It's just these shaky starts at the beginning, with these game 3s, game 4s that are really tripping up a lot of these guys. Another thing about NA East as well is, like, you know, much like EU in week 1, they were missing a lot of big names, and they had a lot of new people roll in. For NA East, it just feels like, once again, we're on the back half of this entire renaissance of like new trios taking up names, rolling in. Maybe it's just name changes, but like, I dead ass don't recognize half of these guys. I don't keep up with NA East as much anymore as comparatively to EU, but they're consistently up here in me not recognizing them, which means there definitely is this effect still going on in NA East. One big surprise for me though is just watching Rocane Dove's Mega all the way down here. Obviously off spawn contestation, obviously big issues, but these guys are ones to where if they lose an off spawn 1 or 2 times, adaption is there. And much like many other elite trios do in NA East, games 4, 5, 6 are like a shoe-in. They almost had it in game 5, but I mean, I'm not sure who exactly these guys were fighting. They got big bopped the entire day in qual 1.
Yeah, I don't remember much of it. I'll be honest. I'm trying to remember the games. Like don't remember the flipping games, man. It was too long ago for me. The one thing I'd say about NA now is, like, I didn't feel like watching this. Or actually, I was shout out to my boy Crip. I always got to shout out my boy Crip when I see him doing well in 6th place, by the way. My boy Crip. But on a serious note, I didn't think there was as many, like, what's the word that the NA people use? Is it Randy? Last season when people were like, oh my god, so many Randy trios.
Yeah, Randy trios. I feel like there still are. I feel like there still are.
Well, I just recognize a lot of these names as being people who are like, quite good.
The way I just put it is like they're consistent Randys. Like we're talking about it, and it's an oxymoron. It's an oxymoron. Don't get me wrong, but it's like you're talking about an EU, right? Trios like Benji's or these other guys getting personality into their gameplay, getting something consistent to hold on to. Like that is just not happening in NA East, but these teams are showing up over and over again in the same spots. And like it's over FNCSs where they're not getting consistency or roles we can tag to their gameplay.
Well, yeah, to be fair, I've never really associated character or great character in play style, at least, to a lot of NA trios. But fair enough. I think that's unfair. That to me then changes it, because if it's like that, to me sounds like a lot of the top NA trios, because it was mainly coming from the top NA trios, like, oh, so many Randy trios. This is like, it's not a star that it used to be, because like you said, a lot of these guys are consistent. Like they're around now. They've established
they're consistent Randys. Like that's the way I look at it. Like these guys, in terms of stream personality, I don't see much. In terms of in-game personality, like they're obviously very good players, but like, you know, a perfect example of like a Randy getting a type of personality is D-Roller, right? Or Coop back in the day. Rolling as controller players, great placements, but you see the way, you know, they actually end up getting a name to their name. Coop is just insane towards the end, clutch master, controller fragger. D-Roller, one of the best supportive players in general that can frag out as well. His arsenal in assisting teammates is huge, to the point where, you know, he can end up popping off of the support plays he makes. At the same time, like, you know, a lot of these guys who are moving up and in. Hapt, I've seen multiple times. Don't know much about in terms of how he plays. Nexi, I've seen, and Crumble have a sort of a style of like racketeering off of other trios beside them as they rotate, but at the same time haven't had something like, you know, concrete to define them by. In terms of like trio definitions, like, you know, if we have to put a tag towards people's names, I feel like at most all we can do is like add the drop spot. But even then, we can't for some of these guys. Like there's people who have earned it, you know, like Niddle, Casker, and Smacked. Which, you know, it's not just the drop spot, it's their type of play as well. But when it comes to a bunch of these guys, like OMG Me Too has been around for so long. All I know him as is the Disco King, because he just contests one Misty Meadows house over and over again in every solo duo tournament I see. There's nothing concrete about the play style. It's just like maybe some drama stuff here or there. It still seems like 100% like the upper echelon of NA East has that. But yeah, other than Mega, I think I would expect. Actually, I don't think these two guys were expected to be down here either, right? Especially Voil, Acceptance, Snake. I think we've given them a little bit too high of a title in our own circle. Especially after Balla saw them the first time. Like they seemed like they were somewhat unreal in the way they had an advanced understanding of how, you know, end game height kind of works. But, you know, we find these three teams side by side towards the bottom of the board.
Yeah, let's get off NA, man.
Okay,
just,
I'm trying. I'm trying.
Listeners, go watch like an Aussie Antics video.
I'm trying. All right. Well, we'll see DJ, we'll see Nosh, we'll see Yamzo. Let's move on to bigger topics or other topics.
Go tell
inside
Balla
the scene.
tell Balla to come back and start doing VOD reviews again, man. Like, don't ask me about NAs, man.
Oh, that's okay.
There's actually going to be listeners who are like, listening to the EU stuff, like, oh, they're really getting into the shit. It's like, oh, I wonder what they're going to say about NAs. Like, bro, I don't remember, mate. It's like, all I got on my mind is Ariana Grande. Like, I don't remember.
For me, it's just placement review at the end of the day, because like just watching it was half a possibility at the time, and it was 2 weeks ago. But the last thing just to say about things for NA is I'm not sure how sustainable things will be for the future when it comes to NA East. And this is actually a good point when it comes to like making content around certain people and bringing up like certain rivalries towards like if there's a LAN event that happens in Fortnite, right? Like in EU, some of these top guys are some of the top streamers as well and have the biggest placements and are followed by all the pros and idolized, or followed by all the viewers, idolized by all the viewers, and you can put them as the pedestals of EU, right? The same people in NA are not the top placers. The top placers are a little bit more reserved. They don't have as much of a brand recognition or following. You know, Booga obviously is in the business, but when it comes to like Avery or Nosh, like I don't know what they look like.
I think NA is just very unfortunate because the standards were so high. Like you flipping used to have TFU. You used to have like NA used to just be the landscape of competitive Fortnite has changed because NA used to be the premier region. As much as like us EU people might want to deny it, it was the case. NA was the premier region.
I think it actually still is.
No, I don't think it is anymore. It's not.
But
it's not anymore.
It still is in content. Like in content outside of comp. Like even if it's review of comp, I think NA is still king of like personalities in content. I think EU hasn't had a grasp on that just yet.
Yeah, okay, so but I think
like Emad, Ronaldo, Arab, like these types of.
But these are all people who have. Okay, well, Ronaldo, I'm pretty sure, is still trying to play. But these are all people who I've seen us shifted out of, you know, primarily player roles. I think the big thing with those people, and maybe it's unfair, I think in general it's always just going to be that way in terms of like it's a media thing, right? Where like America, like Americans, it's just more like, you know, because everyone's English speaking, and you're right. The personality that you get, the three people you named, flipping out overloads of personality. But I don't think it's enough to suggest that NA is like the premier region. I think everything around
EU definitely is.
To Fortnite now revolves around EU.
Player wise,
maybe
100%. But like other than Amar, right? Name me one non-player personality in EU that's like popping.
Obviously, you know, you got Leven 2K.
Okay, given. That's a given.
Boop.
Okay.
When I say me, I'm a joke. I was joking, by the way. I don't do any Fortnite content anymore, really. But Boop's there. You know, Resubs, you know, his YouTube's been popping.
True.
I think what you're saying is right. There are more of those personalities of, you know, people who can step away. Like in NA, it is easier for you to step away as a player. It's easier for you to step away from comp and still be involved in the community and still be relevant. Bloody hell, the songs come out. But and then in EU, it's not the same. You're right. It's not the same yet. But like, I just don't think that's enough yet. I think EU's taken over and so many other things that it just makes up for that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is that, like, you know, when it comes to that head-to-head NA versus EU rivalry, like, I just feel like something needs to be done on the side of NA to start giving these guys a certain name, to start making the beef not about, like, you know, clicks doxing Macwood, but like actual in-game beef of who's the better player, or some talk on that lens. I feel like Reverse 2K has done a really good job in that sense. But like, you know, on the topic of Reverse 2K, and we'll swap to this in just a sec. I'm skipping a few things. We'll go back to it in a little minute, right? The one guy who I feel like was in the business to have this be a big thing, to be like the next personality up and coming. Like if you had to put any on a pedestal back to back, FNCS is popping either inside the top 4, top 5, or winning FNCS straight up, might be just completely retiring after this season. And it's understandable based off what happened in, you know, in recent weeks, being dropped by a trio, picked back up, still disrespected by the scene after winning, you know, FNCS's like that's rough. This is a big blow to NA because just based off what I just said as well and how the landscape is for the scene, this guy was shaping out to be the double lift of NA East.
Let me just say one thing. Fortnite players don't retire, they just start placing bad. 2.
Okay. But this would be the outlier to that, bro.
Well, no, there's already an outlier. It's Zay.
Yeah.
He actually did retire. Whether I believe he's actually going to retire or not, I think his mentality is, I don't think this is actually uncommon. I think a lot of people who've been around as long as Reverse has been around feel like this. And we've seen it with like Kalk just like last season. And we knew Kalk had been feeling this. Kalk wanted to quit how long ago? I feel like Reverse probably is somewhat of the same where, you know, he does feel that way. And maybe it'll take him a couple seasons more before he actually does pull the trigger on it. But this doesn't actually surprise me, really. It doesn't surprise me. And I think we can't have these people, and it's a shame because I know that's something that you want, but in terms of these stories and these characters, we can't keep these people around for long enough without lands. Like, we can't. I just don't think we can. I think if everything had been LAN and there was no COVID, we'd still have a lot of these people. People like Zate, for example, would never have quit probably. You know, a lot of these people like the Calcs and all of those, or maybe even Zextro would still be a top pro if it wasn't for there not being lands. But yeah, you need LAN competition to sustain a lot of that in my eyes for various reasons. But Reverse quitting, it's a shame, but I don't think he's actually the person to take that mantle, weirdly enough.
Really?
The person who no, he's not that person. He's not that person. Ooh. They're different. There's a lot of people who I think it could be. The weirdest one, who maybe will surprise you when I say this, but the one who's actually close. Okay, so mantle. Okay, first of all, who had the mantle? Who let it go? Because I think it was Tifu that had the mantle and he let it go. Right, obviously since Tifu.
Okay, the mantle of what? Like, what mantle are you talking about?
Just like you know, competitive Fortnite in NA. Who do you look to?
Okay, like it used to be Zate. And I think it was like, if it was competitive Fortnite NA in general, I think it used to be Zate day one. Like,
no, but Zate didn't do content. That was always the one thing about Zate. Like, people.
No, but that's what I'm saying. You didn't need to, like, in NA before. It never had to be about content. Like, we just literally had
been about content.
Nah, bro. When it came to competitive, like, you're looking at competitive. This guy could stream once in every like 7 months and everyone would be in that stream. That'd be Zayt, like 100%.
It's always been about content, man. It's always been about content. It's always been about stream. That was always the one thing everybody always used to, because I remember like it used to only, in EU it was only Mongo that streamed. Mongo was the only EU pro that streamed, and it was always like millions of NA pro stream. Like it was always about content. You never got anything, and that was the one thing about it, because they used to stream a lot, then he stopped, but yeah, he had elevated in other ways and whatnot. But it's always been about content. It's always been about content. That's why people like Dubs and all them, and like, you know, even Clicks, the you know, the story of Clicks flipping unknown when he used to stream everything. Like it's always been about the content.
And the guy on NA East then would like 100%, if you're looking at competitive content,
the whole package. It just has to be the whole package.
The whole package, like just as to who to look at for competitive NA East.
Because as much as he wasn't the best player, it was Tfue, right?
Yeah.
Like he was the whole package.
Okay, so it's Aussie Antics. I'm sorry. So what I'm trying to say with this is that there is no player anymore that is the mantle of NA East. It's literally just viewing parties.
Nice Clicks, but I get what you're saying.
I was actually going to say Clicks, but when it comes to Clicks, like it's can he, will he? It's not ever he has. And because he hasn't, like, I don't think he can ever hold on to the mantle yet. And every time anything for NA East has to go down, it's via you're just looking at Aussie Antics channel. You're just looking at viewing parties.
Who was supposed to be?
Who was it supposed to be?
The name I was going to say earlier. It was actually supposed to be Scoped.
Scoped? I mean, he literally had the torch handed to him, right? Like,
and no, but like the torch is still like a light. Like Scoped will, like, during competitions, Scoped will have like 10 to 15k viewers, and like I never got it. I was just like he's massive, right? But like I have like friends who are like massive Tfue fans, and they say to me like, oh yeah, I always watch Scoped ever since I want to watch Fortnite, but I don't want to watch anyone else other than Tfue. But I like Scoped because of Tfue, so I just want Scoped. Like Scoped has like a lot of Scope's audience is all those people who watch Tfue play Fortnite, but it just never worked out, you know. Like,
why isn't it Booga?
Have the torch. It's not Booga because like Booga's just like, I don't know, man. Because it should be fucking Booga.
I don't think he has the ego. Like he doesn't have the ego / personality for it. I think that's the issue.
Nah, man. Booga has the ego for it.
No, but he's too soft spoken, bro. Like the guy's just too nice. Like if Booga was slightly ruder with his no, I understand he could, like, you know, he can have the abrasiveness sometimes in certain conversations and certain conflicts with other players, but like it also just, everything just seems like it's not really an issue he's actually bothered by, right? Like it's never personal for him, it feels like.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think he had to be that.
Yeah,
like he has to, like he can't, because you're right, you are right, he is not like,
even though it is personal, like he's definitely in the trenches, he's taking it for serious, but on the brand wise for it, like the way it gets proceeded, it feels like he took over the ninja spot, right, of the face, and the competitive, you know, the real competitor, the guy who is comp, which was Tfue before, right? Yeah, like the actual skill with the placements, moved over to what you would be saying would be Clicks, right? If
I feel like people listening are gonna hear you say that, and they're not gonna get it because you just like compared Booga to Ninja, and people will listen to that and be like, "What is it gonna?" I actually do understand what you're saying, and I think you're right. It's hard, like. Guys, just trust me. If you're listening and you don't get it, trust me, it does make sense. Like, you don't have to get it, but trust me, what you said does actually make perfect sense. What I'd say is that, like, I don't know. Once again, because let's loop it back around to where we sort of initially started. I don't know what, like, the future of NA in that direction. Aussie Antics definitely has become, like,
the comp hub.
Yeah.
For NAs.
Yeah.
Because the one guy who was supposed to possibly take over, right, that I had high hopes for, who is, I feel like, just the god of Fortnite right now in North America in general, Cypher PK. Like, the man's content is still through the roof. The numbers are still through the roof. And he was more...
He's just a content creator.
But he's a... Like, before in the past, though, I feel like his roots were in comp tips. They were in a little bit more the competitive side rather than the content creating side while all these people were around. Like he was playing stuff with Nick Mercs on a higher frequency than Ninja was with Reverse 2K.
Well, wasn't Cypher BK? Cypher BK was initially signed to LG way back in the day as a pro.
Yeah.
Like he was always very much. He was just out of his depth though, because the game evolved way too quickly.
I felt like he kept up a little bit, and he at least had the passion and the fan base to be able to represent, bro. He had a chance to represent. I'm just saying, there's a there's a multiverse where it's Cypher PK. Like his name was in the ballot, no? Nah. All right.
Nah. You know what? Yeah. Do you know what Fortnite actually needs? Honestly, it's a shame. Like because it's a shame that he just like is clearly done in the game. But like Zay, if he had continued on this path, almost would have been like what like Shroud is in Val, right? Like where he is just that ex guy who was once the guy, and like everybody just wants to know and see and hear from him. And Zay was that when he was doing his streams and everything for a while. And if he had kept growing, if he had kept doing it, it would have grown to the point where, like, you know, he'd have 20k viewers while the FNTASIA is happening, and everyone's just listening to what he has to say and everything. Like, I definitely think it could have grown to that point. But
I think it's not only issues with like Zay not doing that, but issues in watching Fortnite, in general, that makes it tough for anyone to be able to do that job. Because if you think about it, Valorant wise, right? If you want to watch like, even like a fighting game, an entire tournament happen, you can just choose one pathway in the entire bracket, right? From like top 128 all the way to 1, and have something consistent to watch. I think the issue is when you're trying to do this with Fortnite, right? Like past the level of play, still be involved as like the content creator. If you're not going to be having 19 perspectives up in a viewing party, it's so difficult to be able to just sit there, react, and watch like Shroud does to a set match and hop between matches and always have action, right? That doesn't happen in Fortnite because people die. You have 20 minutes of off time. You have to change the perspective. Honestly, I think that if Zayt or if any of these players just hired one observer to just observe Twitch streams for them and just chilled there for like 6 hours, it'd be so much more doable and so much easier for these guys to stream and build that brand and maybe have that mantle. But Zayt would be that guy, definitely. You think that right now, though, is it more comp hubby, or like, is it still Clicks who's in that driver's seat for NA East?
No, I think Aussie has the mantle. Even if Clicks' numbers are better, which they just will be, I think Aussie is the one in the driving seat. I think.
Yeah.
So my brain just like
stopped
for a minute.
I just wanted to make sure no one's phone like randomly turned off or the video didn't buffer.
No, where was I going with this? Sorry, it was in reverse. Yeah, because we were talking about reverse. I think I'd love to see if reverse was to retire and like do what Zayt did, or how he would do numbers wise. Because I think he is. Yeah, I think he should still be someone. Like I think it should be able to work with reverse as well.
You think that reverse would stay in Fortnite content after quitting Fortnite? Because I think that man would run as fast as possible anywhere else.
No, I think he'd almost be foolish to completely run away. I get like him not wanting to compete and like him almost being tired of things in the community in a way. Because at the end of the day, he's been criminally disrespected his whole Fortnite career. He has been.
Yeah.
He has been. He's been criminally disrespected. But I don't know, his platform for content in Fortnite is insane, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that model could work for him really well. Like the Zayt sort of model, what Zayt was doing, I think that could work for him, but who knows? Who knows?
Who knows indeed. Past that, when it comes to players, there's always going to be drama. In game though, things change all the time and things get added in as well. One big thing being, while we were away August 10th, mere days ago, Arena Zone Wars. All I have to say about this, I'll keep it short and sweet. Bring back a Booga late game. Thoughts?
I don't know what the point in adding this is if we have an actual game mode already that we've all played. It's like, you know what I mean, like,
dude, they gave us gourmet pizza. We watched them make it. You know those sushi chefs, and they're in front of you, and it's private, and you have to pay $9,000 and like your ring finger to get in there.
They got the Wagyu beef. As
yeah,
well.
This guy's got like a white beard, you know, fucking white hair, and you ask him his age, and he says he's 25, and you're like, okay, whatever, dude. And he's in there, fucking looks like he has 4 arms the way he's working that Wagyu, bro. And by the way, this is the pizza he's making, but there's Wagyu in the business, right?
There's
Always Wagyu
in the business.
Yeah,
always.
And they make that, and for 3 weeks we eat, and 5 days in they add seasoning to the Wagyu. They fix it up, Leven. They're making changes to the Wagyu pizza. They're making it better. They make you be able to digest it faster. The moving zones get faster. They make I think that's the only change they actually made. They fix the bugs. They take away the bad taste. They make sure it's cooked well. You know, like, it's all good. Then you come in next month for another meal, and it's the dude from your 7-Eleven gas station, the cashier. It's me, right? And I'm making shredded cheese on toast. And you know,
what, tomato sauce in it as well.
Yeah, and the biggest issue is all the ingredients for the Wagyu pizza are there on the right, and the guy is just sitting cross-legged. The 25-year-old white-haired man is just sitting there, not cooking. And you try to ask, hey man, what's up? He doesn't respond. It's just me making more shredded cheese for you, bro. That shredded cheese is Zone Wars, creative. Why would anyone ever want to go back to this?
The way you've just set it up, there's no reason to want to go back to this.
Yeah.
What I will say is, I didn't get to play it, so I didn't, you know, maybe it was us. You know, it always depends on the map and stuff. Like, there's a world where you see like the creative, like what's not zonals, but okay, even if it's zonals, because this was zonals, you know, like realistic 1v1s, right? If they just like made that like a queue and it had arena, like that'd be fine. And I know now people be like, yeah, well, actually, Leven Realistics does have arena, like, but it's not the like official arena mode. It's like in creative type arena mode, whatever. But you know, that wouldn't be bad. Like, I'd be fine with that. Like, that isn't actually bad. But again, it's just at the end of the day, I think the main reason we want to bring this up is because it's like, just give us the bigger late game mode. We all like it. Just give it back to us. It's really good. Just give it back. Don't tease us with like other stuff that's similar but not the same. Just give us bigger late game back.
Thank you, and please. Very nice.
And please.
Respectfully,
Respectfully,
take out the fucking aliens. Thank you. Respectfully. I tried to ease into it.
No, but you know it's mad when you get like the people who are like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I've given in. I'm gonna start using them. You know, you know, you either, you know,
live long enough to you die as a hero, or live long enough to be taken over by an alien parasite.
Exactly. It's like, in some of the clips I see some people, some nasty endgame clips, like 200 pump headshot. Oh no, it wasn't a 200 pump. You just shot the alien, and it's like stinker, absolute stinker. Look, they just need to. There's always something. There is always something. It feels like, and this is the thing.
Yeah.
Let's just get rid of it now. You know. Honestly,
just transfer it to be like an in real life item we can use. Because if I had this during my last breakup, Leven, I would take no damage, no pain. I would have a blessed life. You know what I'm saying? It would be happy days. Unfortunately, 200 pump to the heart. You know how it goes. And my heart's in my head because my brain is the most important organ in the body. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sometimes second most. Depends on the night. If it's Wednesday, then it's second most. If not, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, the liver on Wednesdays, Leven, because we like to drink water, Leven, so we can hydrate water. Where's your mind, man? Get out. Okay, TLDR, just, you know, appreciate the alien change. Reduced by half HP, whatever. Invasive, take him out.
If anyone from Evan's listening, make the parasites, like, make them like a toy, you know, like them, you know, the teddies, not teddies, but like, what's the plush toys, you know, those kind of toys.
Yeah.
Make them one. Send me one. I'd love one. Thank you, Epic.
Okay, very nice. Now, the real meat of this episode, putting it in theater mode, and I'm playing. Hey, yo! Ariana Grande concert. You already know how it is. It went down. Listen, Balla's not here, so we can talk about this stuff. And he can't do anything about it.
You know, Balla would be like, I don't want to talk about this. Ariana Grande concert. Like, I don't want to We're talking about it, big man.
Okay. How do I structure this?
Did you watch it alone? Did you watch it with a group of friends?
This is the first thing, actually, and this might be, I guess, bad to admit. This is the first concert, our first in-game event that I haven't been inside the game for.
Oh, poor.
Yeah.
Shocking from you.
Yeah.
Shocking from you, man.
It's unfortunate. I don't know why. I think it's because I was doing something with my mom. Actually, no, I have no excuse, actually. I just ended up watching a stream for this.
Every take you give now is 40% less valuable.
Why? I watched the whole concert.
You got to watch it in game. It's always different in game.
No, man, because let me tell you this right now, right? Look at what's happening on screen. Are we fucking playing Mario Kart?
But that's
or are we at an Ariana Grande concert?
Bro, but if you were playing it, bro,
dude, it's cool.
To have a different
nah,
take.
Man, but understand, bro, like, it doesn't matter. Like, if you're pitching me a concert, nah, but this is not a concert, man. You can't.
It's never just a concert, though.
And neither was Travis. Travis Scott's wasn't just a concert, but it actually had the essence of like Travis involved. Marshmallows had the essence of Marshmallow involved. Like when it comes to Ariana Grande, dude, did I miss like a TMZ interview? Does she have like stocks invested into Mario Kart?
No, but that's not the point, because even if you remember, like what was the other event that they did where we were playing like a game? It was like we were playing like the Star Wars thing.
Yeah.
Like
what, the Galactus event?
Yeah.
That's fine. That's more of a like.
But that's the point, right? That's what like that's it's just clear like this is a theme with like their
not allowing it. I'm not allowing it.
But like it made the event better. Like it was a cool experience.
No, man, because look, this is the issue, right? When you put the Galactus event out, then you can start comparing things to creative gameplay design choices. Are we going to be flying places? What are we going to be fighting? If you're putting something as an expectation of an artist performing music, the only thing to relate it to is the Travis Scott concert, right? So what you're looking for happened in this concert. It was very good. Is when Ariana is singing Seven Rings. That shit was lit. It felt like, you know, we were in the business, and I realized how far from comp this actually is now that we're actually getting into this. But it's like, it actually felt like I was at a concert. It felt like Ariana had something to do with that or something. Like it was actually, you know, the essence was there. Like all this stuff just didn't feel like that. I think that's the disconnect I had with this entirely, especially this next segment that you're about to see. I can describe it. Leven, what's your defense for this, my friend?
This is some cool shit, bro. Like, what do you want to say? I got the high score. I came first. I was vibing. Like, no, but okay, cool.
Destruction of art.
No, it's not. I don't think it's that deep. I don't think it's that deep at all, because the reality is, yeah, cool. Not every single moment of this concert was like something that is very much. It's not like you can't watch this. You can't experience this and think to yourself, yes, Ariana had creative direction over everything that happened here. But at the end of the day, like that's almost the nature of like modern music and artistry. Like you see that, like where like, you know, certain music videos, like it's, you know, it's something crazy, right? That is directed by somebody else and their vision, and very much in that same sense is what I think happened here with Fortnite, where like this is very much Fortnite's vision and something that they really wanted to do. And obviously they found a way to tie this in with what is the Ariana Grande concert and, you know, the Rift Tour, right? I don't think they actually ever officially called it the Ariana Grande concert anywhere, right?
That's
so
true,
maybe, and I think maybe that's part of the reason why, because, you know, this is our Rift Tour. This is our thing. It's just Ariana Grande is performing at it, right? So like whatever creatively we want to do is what we're going to do. But then there's also Ariana Grande here, which is a cool thing, right? And I think that's very much how I saw it. It's you know, it's crazy when like I am actually arguing with people on Twitter about this, right? But I just want to, let me. This is my time to flip and rant. Yeah, let me go on my rant. I had to
All
go
right,
on.
all right. Hold up. Actually, we're getting a good part of the concert. We'll go back. Okay, all you.
Yeah. Let's see the concert. This event was being scrutinized by the whole comp community, and like the whole comp community on my timeline was just absolutely shitting on it, like throwing it pelters after pelter after pelter. And for me, in terms of criticism of the event, I would have loved for it to be longer. It was too short for me. It was too short. I want these events to start being a bit longer in time. And I understand maybe it's hard on resources or whatever, but I think, a bit longer would be nice. Outside of just the length of it, there was nobody from the comp community that was giving me like criticism that could actually give me anything bad. I constantly would ask people, what did you find bad about this event other than the length? Because I understand, I would also agree, I want it to be longer. What was not good about the event? Nobody could give me a valid answer. Not a single person could give me a valid answer about why this event was bad. People would go, who gives a damn about Ariana Grande? Okay, just because you don't like Ariana Grande's music or you don't care about Ariana Grande doesn't mean that it's a bad event. It's just you don't care, and that's understandable. If you don't listen to Ariana Grande, I can understand why this event wouldn't be that enjoyable for you. Like, for me, it was hard for me to enjoy it as much because I didn't know every single song. I knew Seven Rings, I knew the Switch in a Position, so I knew that song. I didn't know the rest of the other songs, so it was a bit hard for me, I will admit. But I can still appreciate that this was like a cool event, like the visual experience, like it was a sick event, like it was cool. It wasn't long enough. I wish there was, a bit more. In an ideal world, I wish maybe it was an artist that I'm more, I care about more, like if it was Drake or some shit, right? But nobody could tell me what about this event was bad. People are too caught up in the idea of comparing this to Travis Scott. Stop doing that. It's like Space Jam and Space Jam 2. Stop even like the Travis Scott event was the best event in anything ever. Like
The
Travis Scott event is so clear of everything that's ever happened in any game that you can't compare it. You cannot compare anything to it. To compare this to the Travis Scott event is actually disrespectful to the Travis event because it is just so clear. Stop doing that. Just because an event isn't as good as the Travis Scott event, spoiler alert, no event ever will be as good as that, doesn't mean an event is bad. It just, unfortunately, just nothing will ever live up to that expectation. And it's a shame that people can't see that. People are too spoiled by the fact that we had the Travis event that they can't open their eyes to see the fact that actually probably will never have an event that's as good as the Travis Scott event. Even if they were to get an artist that maybe people liked more, like a Drake or something, it probably wouldn't be as good as the Travis event because the Travis event was one of a kind. It was the first of its kind, and it was flipping amazing.
Facts. I realized 3/4 of the way through your rant how far we actually fell from topic of said podcast. But
I don't give a damn. This is FNT. This is Fortnite. This is Fortnite, and we talk about Fortnite.
So here's the thing. I just realized with what you're saying. What if you just replaced at the end there Travis Scott event with the words World Cup? What if, and this is usually where Balla makes me shut the fuck up because I'm on some stupid tangent.
I might be on that.
So you might need to. I'm in tinfoil conspiracy mode, right? What if this is foreshadowing of like how, World Cup was as good as it will be, and all lands from here on out will never hit that mark, and people can't be satisfied, and we're too spoiled. The price pool won't be as high. Everything might be slightly different with the way trios, creative, and solos work. We're going to be looking at Rift tours now instead of concerts. Very weird segue, but your rant was hitting me in a certain way with this.
I'm so fucking sad because you're so fucking right. Next time we get World Cup, people are gonna actually say it's trash because it doesn't feel the same as the first World Cup. We're screwed.
I'm just saying it's not.
No, but I can actually see it. No, you've actually implanted it in my mind, and I can see now. Based off of what I saw from the community, like based off of that Travis concert, I could very much see a timeline. Right, we're talking, fucking low key variant timelines, all this. I could see a timeline where we get a World Cup and people just go, nah, this is trash, man. It's not the same. Like, the community has shown me that it's capable of doing that. If I'm being honest, I don't think it will happen. I think people will just be too excited.
Yeah.
But I think this community and I've done this as well, and we're, as humans, we will just do it. We're too caught up in nostalgia. We're a bit too, you can be caught up in nostalgia. Nostalgia is a good thing. It's good to reminisce sometimes about the good old days, but this community, I think, sometimes lives and breathes off of the nostalgia. And so, you know, nothing will ever it will never feel like them old days, man. It just won't. Like the people who are there, you know, the vibes, the atmosphere, even the world itself has just changed. Like it will just never feel like those old days. Once again, doesn't mean it can't be good still, but it just won't. And so, like you saying that, even if you are memeing and you're doing the shy tangent thing, there's some truth in it. I do feel like there were people who would go, nah, it's not the same. Fortnite's lost its touch. Nah. And I'd hate for that to happen. It would trigger the hell out of me. Because we could have an event, we could have a World Cup that is actually, when you look at it and break it all down, is actually a better event than the original World Cup. You know, better formats, better actual production quality, better everything. But people just go, nah, I don't feel the same, man. Nah, I want 72 hours back. I want to see, you know, I want Myth back at the event. Oh, Lupo and Courage ain't casting it. Like, nah, it's not the same, man. Nah. I can see that happening.
Yeah.
I could.
I feel like even though that might be the case, and just watching like the first LAN event in a long time, which was VCT, just seeing player cams, like regardless of who was casting or who was doing this or whose team was playing, it was like a new breath of fresh super air, bro. Like, I don't think that'll be the possibility, but I feel like some of those opinions will roll around just because certain players aren't there or people don't follow things as much. And I think the biggest thing, which I'll show on screen right now, is this tangent, which I thought died a while ago, but it's still online. The entire idea of what game mode is the alpha game mode, or, you know, what this game actually represents, this is still going on. And I saw this tweeted just I think a few days ago. Oceanics basically saying, if you're watching audio wise, duos is the alpha game mode. I love trios, don't get me wrong, but I'd be so happy to see duo FNCS return. DreamHack day one was a blast. We do it again tomorrow. So obviously reacting to DreamHack Open that's happening right now. But at the same time, for me, it's like, I feel like the reason duos and solos and these other modes work so well and keep people happy is that they're put in places like DreamHack or third-party tournaments in between the main event, which is trios. Like, you'll be able to have that switch up and appreciate it. If you overdo it, and you know, we've talked about this, I think 3 different separate times at FNTASIA on different levels of episodes. One, I think 7, 13, and like 20 is in the 20s as well. How is this still a thing? Like, how do people not realize like what's going down?
Bro, I'm not talking about the shit, bro. I'll just get triggered, bro. Honestly, I'll just get fucking triggered, bro. I don't care if I don't, because there will be those people, you know, there'll be the retubs of the world and shit who are going, no, but I've always advocated for dudes. It's always my favorite. It doesn't matter what you've done. It's always about the general community narrative. And what I will tell you about the general community narrative is it has never been satisfied. Why are we acting like we haven't had like long stretches of duos in the past? I think actually, other than solos, duos is the mode that has been around the most in all of competitive. If you're actually going back to the beginning of competitive history, like duos, there's been more duos than there have been trios. Maybe trios will overtake by the end of the year, but in terms of just total amount of time we've had a mode be like the main mode, duos has been the main mode. Duos has had stretches of being a main mode for ages. Now, don't get me wrong. Obviously, in different metas, in different times when the game wasn't as developed and all these things and blah, 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 cool, whatever. But what we've learned is that people get tired of it. I remember after World Cup when they gave us those couple of trio cash cups, right? And people are like, oh my God, trios, man. Even though it was laggy as hell, remember? Right? Remember those initial trio events, right? After World Cup or whatever, before we got FNCS Season X or whatever, and it was just those couple trio events where it was just cash cups. Those were laggy as hell, weren't good, but people love trio. People are like, oh yeah, we need trios more, man. We need trios more, man. You know, people are like, oh, World Cup duos now, man. Duos, I didn't care about World Cup duos, man. Solos are just so much better. Like, nah, just duos really isn't it, man. I don't know. Like, just you will get, no matter how good you think the game mode is, people will always just get tired of it, bored of it, and they want a different game mode. Like Shayo just said, the reason why duos works now is because it isn't the main mode and it comes in at certain points, specifically like this, like with DreamHacks. You had it all the time, non-stop. you would just get sick of it. Maybe you think in your head you wouldn't, but I know you would because you have in the past, because that's how it always has. And when I say that, I'm not talking to individuals, I'm talking to the community as a whole. At the end of the day, the ebbs and flows of the community narrative are spearheaded around, certain individuals at the time of power. And, that's just how it is. With my fear is, because with, you talking about, Aussie Antics now becoming like the hub in NA, like my fear is now people will start to just push this agenda against duos, right? And just beg for duos back. When I think if you actually look at the implications of something like that after just having trios for a year, just wouldn't be good for us to go down that path. Now, whatever the right path is, I hope we can get to that path in a secure way that's best for all parties involved within the community. But I would hate to see just a massive agenda just start to be pushed where it's like, let's get duos, please do it. No, I'd hate that. I really would hate that. So yeah, I don't want to talk anymore about this. I'm sure you have your piece to say on it, Shia, but I'm just tired of any game mode conversations now. I'm genuinely sick of it. Like I am sick of any game mode conversation.
No, it's like pretty much on what you said. Like I don't know how it's even a topic at the moment. I just feel like it's another one of those Hypex things where content creators get bored, throw something out for impressions. It's just, I don't know. It truly is wild. We'll wait to see though, because I think we're going to talk about this in a few episodes. But what is going to happen next year? Are we staying with trios for another year? What does next year look like with FNCS? Is it still 4? Is there a LAN? Because if there is, then obviously there can't be 4 FNCSs. There have to be an entire half a year of qualifications that happen over 10 weeks or whatever the way they want to do it. Will you qualify through winning FNCSs? All these questions that are up for debate when LAN talk starts to happen and we have like a different type of non-online circuit, and then that's where the mode conversation can actually have some intelligent addition into the conversation as well. But we'll have to see. You kind of covered all the attacking points that I was rolling with, so we'll leave it there.
When in terms of, obviously I know you said we'll talk about this probably in another ep, but in terms of what is the right thing to do for next year, going into next year, let's say in some world trios isn't the right mode to go to for the rest of next year, right? Cool. I can get to a stage where I can accept that, but not if it's just because of like people wanting duos because we've had DreamHack duos and people are excited. Like it can't be that. Do you know what I mean? Like if you're gonna decide that we should move over trios, you should be able to come to me with a Balla type doc where you've gone into the shits about why no, it shouldn't be trios, it should be another mode. Don't come to me on some, I really enjoyed, first day of DreamHack duos, man.
It's all just incomplete. Everything just needs to get completed first. Like all these modes haven't been done on a major LAN setting yet. I mean, they all get their chance in their separate mediums. People will understand to just keep them in their lanes. So, when we get like FNCS grand finals on LAN for whatever, right? Like it's cross-regional. Once again, I don't know how it'll all work. Should be trios. Most likely will be trios. We'll see the completion of that trios arc and see if it actually works, which I guarantee it will. For DreamHack, I want to keep it duos. It'd be sick if we had online qualifiers and had the finals for DreamHack Open every month on a LAN. That'd be so sick, bro. Have it in Stockholm, have it in Oslo, have it in different places in EU for Europe. You could have it in NA as well, because it's a once a month type operation. I think Fortnite can really, really exploit online and in-person competition more so than any other sport and keep everything open. It should be fun, but then obviously you have to wait a few years for that. Either way, for if you're doing these competitions, you're playing trios, you're playing solos, you need orgs and you need players. And sometimes, Leven, this will be one of the last topics of the day, those players make mistakes, especially when it comes to handling beef and business with other players in the DMs. I'm talking about the FNCS champion Juraki, Leven 2K. It's looking kind of unfortunate here for the man. So for context, do you think the DMs are fine to show?
No. Balla, if I'm gonna be the resident Balla for the episode, no.
Okay, so there were DMs. There was TOS stuff said to them in the likes of wishing harm upon someone else. Know your shit, so to speak. if you want to flip around the acronym, you can understand what I'm talking about. Regardless, Jerky got like a little bit heated in one of these tournaments. I think it might have been third party, it might have been DreamHack, I'm not sure. It seems like a third party one because there's admins who were doing stuff, but regardless, DMs went back and forth. They got publicized as well, and Jerky kind of like went dark or whatever. Kind of a sarcastic type response as well, I feel like, on this topic here. But the biggest thing about it, which to me is also just, I laughed at this because I've never seen, when something is kind of serious like this, an org respond in this way. The most general, upbeat type dropping of a player, bro. What the actual hell? We're parting ways with Jerky. Thank you for everything and good luck in the future. And it's just like Jerky in the most like half satisfied look. I saw this and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I feel like I shouldn't be laughing, but like,
nah,
hey, yo,
crazy,
wait,
hey,
someone come get your mans?
Nah, you know what it is though? If we remember back to like all the stuff that happened with Jerky and Wave anyway, right? Like around now was the time when this kind of announcement was going to happen anyway. But I think it's just the timing of it. I think they just thought, you know what, he's starting to go off the rails. Let's just burn this bridge here now and just let people know he's nothing to do with us, by the way. It was it was a bit of a mad one. Look, the thing about Jerky is he's somebody who has very much had a massive rise to the top of the community in the past couple months. When he won FNCS, similar stuff came out of EMs he had a couple months prior, where it's like he's just, at the end of the day, Jerky was just one of them comp kids.
Yeah,
it's one of them just comp kids who was a bit toxic, a bit, you know, too in over his head, and would say things he shouldn't say. And we've seen some of this stuff come out in the past. At the end of the day, he now needs to know that he can't actively, you know, he can't go back and right those wrongs. He can't, you know, he can't go back and change some of the stuff he said to people in the past before his rise to the top.
Yeah.
He can change the way he acts now. He can't, you know, he can't talk to people like that. He can't say some of the things he says. He can't react like that. At the end of the day, if you're an elite, if you're an actual professional, being a professional is more than just being good at the game. It is more than that. And once again, it's something, you know, we've all been preaching for a while now on the podcast, and, you know, before the podcast even existed, but it's more than just being good at the game. And a lot of the pros aren't actually professional. And, you know, that's something that they have to learn over time. And hopefully he does learn that lesson, but it's something that shouldn't be happening, Shy.
Yeah, no, definitely not. And it sucks because, you know, there are things that are being done behind the scenes when it comes to Epic Games cracking down on toxicity. And sometimes it is like a delayed hit that happens. And this dude, you know, is obviously waiting for grand finals to come the whole way through. So we have to kind of, you know, wait and see if there's anything else that happens because of this, or if, you know, Jerky's fine kind of hiding in the dark, so to speak. Regardless, that's another big thing in terms of, like, you know, you're talking about top orgs in the world right now for Fortnite. Wave was in the topic of being one of them, signing some of the craziest players, and kind of, you know, they're going on to bigger and better things. The org that seems to be scooping up all of, like, you know, the talent in EU right now. And this is just moving off the topic of what that was. A little update on, you know, one of the FNCS winners in EU, Falcon Esports, or Falcons Esport, my apology, is popping right now. They got Chapik signed, and I'm gonna play this trailer again for all our YouTube viewers, obviously with no music. Sorry about that. This is the funniest thing for me for this, where once again, I don't know what's up with Chapix and why he's still called Chapix. If you can just roll with Uruguay or something. It's the only team or player announcement I've ever seen before we dive into, like, you know, this is really cool, where there's two gamer tags involved. They have to have Uruguay on the left and then Musa Chapix Faur on the right. Like, why?
It's just now his branding. It literally has not, like, now it literally, you know, like how, like, everybody else's troll names is just like, you know, like, realistically, you know, they're not, Noah Riley, BL are not doing an announcement video of Noah Riley and putting the Japanese scribes there, like, and you know what I mean, like Wave ain't doing an announcement and putting High Ground King to represent the deal, like, but Uguay's actually just become his branding, like it is just Chapix now, Chapix Uguay. That's just,
Yeah,
you know, it's him.
Yeah, I mean,
it's his alter ego. It's like I don't know.
Batman.
This is really bad. Ooh, not Batman. But I was thinking, I don't know. Someone from WWE came to mind.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Not Stone Cold. No, not Stone Cold. What are you on about?
The Undertaker.
I don't know anymore, man. I forgot.
Triple H. Randy Orton, bro. Rey Mysterio.
Okay, no, I wasn't thinking of Randy Orton, but you could use Randy Orton, but then you also the Viper. You know, like Chapix is Chapix, but he's also Uguay. You know, like it's like he switches between the two. You know, it's just like he's Uguay, he's Chapix, he's, you know.
Yeah. It's like it's like Ye from Envy, but he's also El Diablo.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Of course she's sneaking some Valorant shit, bro. So
true. Okay, very nice. But yeah, bro, the Middle East is like taking over.
Bro, the oil money. It's all the oil money, mate. Like Falcon, I don't know where.
Does the world still have oil? I thought we ran out, bro.
No,
that's wild. That's crazy.
Man, all the football fans listening will get where I'm going with that one. But no, look, Falcon have more money. Yeah. Anyway, Falcon. I'm pretty sure Falcon have more money than any of the org in all of esports or some shit, bro. I'm not even kidding when I say that.
Really?
Like they are just like when I say oil, like I'm not even joking when I say that. Like I'm pretty sure they just have more. Well, definitely in Fortnite. Like, definitely.
That is Fortnite. A god header. Holy fuck.
Yeah.
Let's go. They have. There's no way. That's actually dope as hell. Are these just the owners?
I guess so. Maybe it's just the people, the founders of it or something. But no, like I'm pretty like in terms of the money they have in comparison, other Fortnite teams have available.
Yeah,
they have more money than anybody else when it comes to like Fortnite and how much they can spend on Fortnite and stuff. It's pretty insane. It's pretty insane.
Right, cool.
But
yeah.
No, I think the one cool thing about this with Chapix specifically is the fact that Chapix historically has always just never been on an org since like VHV days. And it was always because his parents couldn't trust an org and they always felt like it wasn't the right thing for their son and all this and all that. You know, like...
And then the zeros came in.
Well, that's why I wanted to talk about this, right? Because like, when you think about it, if their stance has always just been... They would have gotten offers. Chapix would have... you know, obviously I don't know, so like... But Chapix would have had offers from every org in the EU. Like, and every org possible, probably. But Falcons must have came in with some serious dosh to the point where, like, his parents said, like, we can't say, it would be irresponsible for us to say no to this. Like, that's how I think about it, right?
So I'll tell you what it actually is like, because I've had dealings with Middle Eastern organizations and entities when it comes to just casting. If they want you, bro, they will get you. Like, that's kind of how it works. Like, if they specifically want stuff, they will just, you know, they will the way they operate, they like, they're very passionate in that sense. Like, they understand what exactly the structure is going to be. They do their research and they're like, okay, get this, man. To the point where, like, the only way you can really say no is like if you have like another thing already lined up. That's the only way. Like, and even then sometimes like you have to call the other thing and be like, you know, my internet, you know, like it's wild, man. It actually is wild. So I like the fact the one thing I always liked about the Emmy community in general is just the passion they have with the research they do and the way they attack getting stuff. Like, I guarantee their parents probably said no, maybe even once or twice. I actually can't guarantee that, but I guarantee it. So
yeah, you can't guarantee it, but you know. Yeah.
No. Yeah. Definitely. But yeah, that is cool. This also
Falcon, if you're looking to sponsor, you know, the #1 Fortnite competitive podcast, you know, we are.
Oh, we love Falcon. We love Falcon since day one, bro.
Look, if Falcon are looking to sponsor a podcast,
hold up,
you know where to go.
What is a baby falcon called?
Oh my god!
Let me see.
Changing the podcast name.
ever since
Like,
you guys
chilling
were a Falcon chick, right? Before you were even a Falcon, we love Falcon chicks. You know what I'm saying? We supported them.
Look,
I remember episode
I
3, Falcon chicks. We were talking about the Falcon. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do remember that. I do. And look, you know, I've always been the #1 Tayson stan.
True.
Look, I could rebrand to being like a Falcon, you know, fan.
We
That
could add
be, like,
wings to
#1
you.
We could add. I'm already soaring, you know.
Yeah.
So just adding the wings, it wouldn't be, you know. Look, it's written in the stars. I think it was always meant to be.
Yeah. No, 100%, 100%.
Yeah.
And this also last thing on it is when it comes to like if we ever have a show match of like, you know, you have to be on an org like to be able to play, you know, refs guard, Tayson, Chapix. That's pretty stacky going into that show match. You know what I mean? I'm waiting for the day we have like cool stuff for like that's possible.
Should we just do it at this stage? No,
Yeah, man. Let's just get $50,000, $700,000. Let's do it, bro.
Maybe Falcon.
Maybe Falcon, man. That's what half a month's salary for the boys. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah. Half a month's salary, mate. You think I'm gonna be here talking about Ariana Grande? Yeah.
Hey, regardless, if you guys made it this far, comment down below what your favorite bird is. I want to know your favorite bird, and then I also want to know your favorite Fortnite org. And if it's not Falcon, I'm going to delete the comment. So you better say Falcon is our favorite org, and we've never looked at any other orgs. I'll give you a pass if you also say TSM, because those guys are grueling right now and they need some support. They've lost in almost every esport they control. So with that being said, enjoy your days. Make sure you're washing your face. And as they say at the drive-through, is there anything else I can help you with? No, sir. Okay. Have a great day. Peace.
Peace.